Well, good morning, everyone. So when I got up this morning, my wife, Melissa, whose grandfather is from Kyiv, asked me if I was dressed like the Ukrainian flag by coincidence, and it is absolutely not a coincidence. So happy Passover, happy Ramadan, and happy Easter to everybody. Regardless of what religion you practice, there are some things that cannot be left to faith. One of them being the work that we have on developing our workforce. This continues to be the number one issue that businesses tell us about, regardless of their industry sector. How do they find and retain talent? How do we grow our regional talent pool? How do we align the needs of our employers with the training that they're receiving at our local colleges and universities? And how do we address the challenges of diversity, equity, and inclusion? These issues are ancillary, but they're also direct, and they're related to a lot of the other things that the WCA works on, including most directly affordable housing and workforce housing. That's something that our Keynote has some personal background in, having formerly served as the New York City Planning Commissioner. So it's great to have somebody who's leading these state efforts who has this wide background. With some well-placed encouragement, we've seen our county and the state step up in its efforts to improve this workforce ecosystem, but it's not an easy task. For the first time, the state budget has created, as part of the state budget, we have a new Office of Workforce Development that's statewide, in addition to hundreds of millions of dollars that's targeted towards workforce investment. The county budget also invests heavily in workforce and is actually working directly with us here at the WCA on a grant targeting the healthcare sector. Now, before I welcome County Executive George to the podium, I want to quickly thank our sponsors. Hopefully they're excellent. White Plains Hospital, thank you for being here this morning. 914 Inc., the Burke Rehabilitation Hospital, Mercy College, Wegmans, and The Catalyst. Thank you also to those other representatives from the county, our elected officials and their staffs, and our WCA Chair, Susan Fox from White Plains Hospital, for being here this morning, and our Vice Chair, Chris Fisher from Cuddy and Fetter. With that, I'd like to ask George to come up and make a few remarks. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Everybody's up bright and early, had the first cup of coffee, to be followed by the second, third, and fourth cup of coffee. Good. We're all geared into the program. I'm very happy to be here with a contingent of my colleagues from county government, and I always like to introduce them. You may know them already, but it's important to highlight that. And I think it's because, as you've learned in your professional career, and I've learned both in my business career and now my governmental career, it's never an individual that drives all of the decisions. It's a combination of talented people that together as a team move an entity forward. So I want to make sure that we all give proper praise to, first and foremost, Joan Mcdonald, our Director of Operations. She was engaged as a leader in WCA when we stole her away 5 years ago. And Bill Mooney's smiling, but behind the scenes, why'd you do this, George? But Joan has done a terrific job leading our operations team. She's ably joined by Emily Saltzman, our Deputy Director of Operations, right there. Our Director of Economic Development, the always energetic Bridget Gibbons. And she has right at her right hand, Deb Novick. We're fortunate to have with us Tom Kleiner, who heads our Westchester Putnam Workforce Development Board. Tom? On behalf of our communications team, Lisa Reyes, who you know from News 12 Days, we stole her too. I had talked sort of casually, about what the challenges are right now in workforce development. And I do come out of a corporate background for 20 years in sales and marketing before I went into public office. And in many ways, to me, it's a bit of a Rubik's Cube. Now, I don't know about you. How many of you ever solved a Rubik's Cube in your life? Actually made all of the sides line up? Raise your hand if you pull that stunt off. I never did. And I'd get one side and I couldn't figure out the other side. And it's a combination of skills. Then you give it to some 5-year-old kid who does it in 3 seconds. It's a little frustrating. But the point is this issue that we face now, workforce development, particularly coming out of the pandemic, but also because we're dealing with generational realities to things. Each generation, as they come through the workforce, has a different take on life. And things that as a baby boomer I experienced growing up in a household where my father was a blue-collar worker, and from the greatest generation, there were certain things that were emphasized to me in going to school and getting an education and trying to staff a career. The things are different now. And it's trying to understand that mindset and that zeitgeist in order to be effective. Because what we have to do on the government side of this equation is to help be effective, not to drive all of the policy decisions from a public policy standpoint, because that's foolishness. There are nuances in different industries that take the same problem and look a little bit differently depending on the kind of work you're in, the kind of profession you're in. Bridget Gibbons has done a very good job of highlighting that by spotlighting where are we with advanced manufacturing, where are we with financial technology, and the differences in each of these different areas. We deal in this industry, hospitality, that's really devastated by COVID. And how do we attract back people to work when we know that our workforce needs are many and varied? This county has a large population of very well-educated individuals that can provide certain types of key necessity talents for a business to thrive. And many people begin the process, and we've focused on this as well in our economic development strategies through Launch 1000, to develop a business that begins with you, one individual, and a good idea. And so how do we incentivize that? That's a different challenge than we had in government, as I've said many times in a business context, back when I was a kid. And Ed McCallion, whose name is on our building, was a key factor in inviting major U.S. corporations to leave New York City and bring their corporate campus to Westchester County, bringing with it tremendous jobs and a whole explosion of opportunity. This challenge is different. And the panel that you have here and the other dialogue that will follow is between people who are all relatively equal. We all have little puzzle parts of this jigsaw puzzle, but no one of us has all the answers. But we have to try to find those answers to how do we tap and the workforce that we need in order to produce the products and the services that we want, and how do we best incentivize it. Michael mentioned that the Westchester County government made a point of helping to fund the County Association's Healthcare Talent Pipeline Program as an initiative. See if that's going to work. See if that helps with our healthcare institutions and the number of talented people they need at the level of compensation that will keep people engaged in employment. Because we're watching a phenomenon that I had not seen in growing up, which is people who would rather not work than work in a job that they figure is compensating them or isn't a right career path for them. It's an interesting twist of things, and it is part of the problem that's out there. There's also an opportunity, and we're trying to figure out how best to do this through government resources, of how to tap some of those demographics that have traditionally not been fully tapped. Women, minorities, individuals that have different other demographic realities that we know we can tap and bring them into the workforce more fully. The state has been innovative in trying to do that, and our keynote address today by Hope hopefully we'll tap into some of that. We have representatives from the state government, and it is a partnership. It is no one level trying to figure it all out by themselves. But I do think it's one of the challenges in the post-COVID era that we share. And what I hope we will do is find that the county can put resources where it makes the most sense. We put more money into childcare this year than we have ever before, Board of Legislators and the executive branch. Not just out of social need, which is an important thing, but also because it gives the opportunity for more people to be out in the workforce. And if they feel they can have proper childcare, then they can properly engage in the workforce, and that's part of the workforce we need to work. So we're working through this Rubik's Cube together. It doesn't bother me too much that I never solved the old one back in the 1980s. Every once in a while I see an old one in a closet and I pick it up and I look at it for a few minutes and I realize I won't solve that ever. But this challenge, the workforce development challenge, is one that we have to solve. This is a great country and we have risen to the occasion. Every time we've been tested, we will rise to the occasion in this test as well. Thanks very much. Have a very productive conference.
Thank you, George. Thanks for being with us today. As George mentioned, the issue is so complicated, but it is so important to the regional ecosystem. It's one of the reasons why the WCA is continuing to focus on this as one of the primary pillars of growing and expanding the regional economy. We can't do everything, but we can set a marker, we can convene, and we can hopefully collect thought leaders from all sectors, the academic sector, the government sector, the nonprofit sector, and the private sector to work together, and hopefully others will join and follow our efforts. That's why we have working groups, standing working groups that focus specifically on this issue. It's why we host this conference every year. It's why we apply for grants and actually create these initiatives to try and make things better. It's also why we have an on-staff authority on workforce issues, our own Jason Chapin, who I'm going to invite to the podium. This is basically his party this morning, so I'm going to pass it off to him. Thank you, Jason.
I'm always excited when I'm at an event with George because George always talks about the things that we talk about, which is collaboration, it's identifying an opportunity and finding a way to solve a problem. So this is also getting all of you together in this room is just another way to really get things done. So thank you very much for coming. It's great to be together and in person again. Boy, it feels like it's been a long time since we've been doing in-person events. And it seems like everything has changed since our first Workforce Summit back in 2020. There's been record employment, record unemployment, record reemployment. More people retired early, quit, changed jobs, or started their own business than ever before. Lack of available and affordable childcare and concerns about COVID-19 have kept a large number of people from returning to work. At the same time, employers have done their part. They have increased salaries, they have added signing bonuses and remote work options, reduced the number of jobs that require a college degree, and more. There's a lot going on. New York State and Westchester County have provided a record amount of funding for childcare and other resources, yet we still have a massive talent shortage. Today, there are 19,000 job openings in Westchester alone and another 70,000 job openings in surrounding counties. And there is hope and help for those who are willing to invest some time and effort, and coming to this event is a great way to get things started. This morning, we will learn what New York State, Westchester County, as well as local education training providers, nonprofits, and others have to offer to help employers with their recruitment and retention challenges. Reminds me of the first conference in 2020 when I ended my remarks by saying there were 25,000 open jobs and that we need to focus on filling them. So here we are, the number is much greater, but I think there are opportunities to do many more things. There are also several things that WCA has done during the pandemic, quite challenging, but also I think very helpful. We started the Talent Consortium, a group of 25 colleges, BOCES, career centers, ESD, New York State Department of Labor, State Ed, and others who met monthly to share job information. We also invited employers to present to the group so that we understood what their opportunities were and shared that information with our members. And we also convened the Talent Council, which is 20 nursing schools and employers to help solve the nursing shortage. We applied for and received a grant from Westchester County, which George and Michael mentioned, to launch the healthcare pipeline, talent pipeline program, HTPP. We're in the process of branding it. A collaboration and innovative program that I believe is a great model. Why is it a great model? Because we work with all the stakeholders that I think are critically important to success. We are partnering with nonprofits to help recruit underrepresented groups in the workforce. There are many groups, but the primary ones are veterans, immigrants, people with disabilities, youth, underemployed, and others who have skills and want to work or they want a full-time job, and provide supports to them while they receive free tech training, healthcare training, job readiness, and service excellence training. We also have employment partners who are eager to interview and hire them when they finish the training. So we have a great ecosystem just with this one project. We also submitted a $17 million federal grant proposal based on a similar model that seeks to train 1,000 healthcare workers in the Hudson Valley for high-demand healthcare jobs. I believe this is the largest proposal that the county and the region has ever submitted for workforce training. So we will find out in July, and we're praying every day that we hear good news in July. And lastly, we're partnering with Westchester County, Westchester Community College, and many other colleges, BOCES, and others on a major healthcare job fair this Friday. We have over 30 employers who are going to be there. We expect over 200 job seekers, and we are going to do everything we can to make sure that those job candidates get interviewed, and hopefully the employers will hire them and will start reducing the talent shortage. I want to finish with 3 recommendations that can help solve the talent shortage, and we'll talk about this a lot today. Help individuals and their families and help grow our economy. 1, more employers should partner with local colleges and BOCES and their career service centers to create talent pipelines. So it's not about filling the jobs today, it's about developing those collaborations and partnerships that are sustainable, that can continue to fill those jobs over an extended period of time. They represent a large talent pool with more than 100,000 students and even more alumni. Can't overemphasize that. 2, more employers should partner with nonprofits like Nonprofit Westchester, which is over 300 members, part of that organization, that have the relationships with the communities and the different groups that I think can help solve the talent shortage. And state and county agencies who can help them recruit more veterans, immigrants, people with disabilities, and others who can also help them diversify their workforce. We've heard a lot over the last few years about DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. So we can't solve these problems by ourselves, but we can work with others and solve those problems quite easily. 3, employers should work with state and county agencies that have programs, services, and resources designed to help them recruit and retain talent, and organizations like the Child Care Council of Westchester who can help with child care needs. It's all about collaboration and partnership. I encourage you, here's my prop, to use our Regional Talent Resource Guide to get you started and to reach out to us so that we can assist you. Now, it's time to introduce our keynote speaker. Hope Knight serves as the Acting Commissioner and President and CEO Designate of Empire State Development, quite a title, New York State's Economic Development Agency. She was nominated to the position by Governor Kathy Hochul after more than 2 decades in economic development across the public and private sector. A Queens native, Commissioner Knight holds a BA from Marymount Manhattan College and an MBA from the Graduate School of Business of the University of Chicago. This is her first time joining us, and we are very excited to have her here today. Please help me welcome our morning keynote speaker, ESD Commissioner Hope Knight.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you for that kind introduction, Jason. And thanks to the Westchester County Association for bringing us all here together in person. I'd like to take a moment to recognize a couple of people. Westchester County Executive George Latimer, Chris White, my workforce development colleague from the Department of Labor, my colleagues from Empire State Development, Tom Scaglione, James Kostenblatt, and Eric Warren, and Michael Romita and Jason Chapman. Thank you and the entire Westchester County Association team. And it's a pleasure to be with you today, especially given the state's renewed focus on its workforce development initiative. As this is my first opportunity to meet many of you, I'd like to share a little bit about my background. So as Jason said, in late October, Governor Hochul nominated me to serve as President, CEO, and Commissioner of the state's Economic Development Agency. Before that, I spent 2 decades in economic development, especially focused on communities where it was needed most. Prior to my coming to USD, I served for more than 6 years as President and CEO of the Greater Jamaica Development Corporation in Queens. It's one of the oldest economic development organizations in the country. We focused on community building efforts and responsible real estate projects that generate sustainable economic growth. Prior to Greater Jamaica, I spent 12 years at the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone. I also served on the New York City Planning Commission, and I worked internationally in the private sector. My experience has taught me that economic development is about expanding opportunity. Frankly, opportunity is why I stand before you today, nominated by the first female governor to be the first African American to lead ESD. I share Governor Hochul's commitment to expanding economic opportunity, and it should be the foundation of ESD's programs, projects, and priorities. Economic development is how ESD supports Governor Hochul's broader goal of expanding opportunity across the state. And while there's no one-size-fits-all approach to economic development, I've seen the transformative impact of community empowerment, where state and local government collaborate with stakeholders to encourage new investment and create jobs. The same strategy is reflected in our regional economic development councils. We engage with local stakeholders representing businesses, government, nonprofits, and academia because we believe those who know the needs of the community best understand the challenges and see the opportunities. The REDCs are tasked with charting the economic course for their respective region and recommend projects that align with that blueprint. Within the past few weeks, I've celebrated milestones for 3 REDC-supported projects here in the Mid-Hudson region that demonstrate this process at work. Advanced manufacturing is a priority industry in the region, and RBW, a lighting, design, and manufacturing company in Ulster County, celebrated the Phase 1 completion of its new global headquarters. RBW is investing nearly $5.5 million into this project and creating 49 new jobs, supported by an ESD capital grant. It's worth noting that one of the reasons RBW chose to expand in Hudson Valley was because of its vibrant and engaging communities. They recognize the region as a great place for employees to live, work, and play. Tourism is another key industry, both regionally and statewide. Before the pandemic, tourism supported 1 in 10 jobs and generated billions in spending and economic impact. While we're not back to where we were, we're cautiously optimistic for a strong summer. These hopes will only be reinforced by another regional council project, Legoland, which recently opened for the season and celebrates its first full season in Orange County. I was proud to attend the ribbon cutting for the new linear accelerator booster at Columbia University's Nevis Labs just up the road in Irvington. Medicine and the life sciences are another key priority industry, especially here in Westchester, with companies like Regeneron and all of the world-class medical institutions in this region. The new linear accelerator makes Columbia University the first and only college in America with specialized equipment to study heavy ion radiation therapy. This project shows what private-public partnerships can accomplish. They create jobs, support key industries, and help bring transformational projects across the goal line. While we're very proud of these successes, there's very much more that we can do. In my 6 months at ESD, everywhere I go, I hear businesses say that they're struggling to fill jobs. There's a mismatch between jobs available and the skills needed to be successful in those jobs, even at a time when unemployment remains very high. Some of the companies and organizations that you represent may be facing the same challenges. And it's becoming increasingly clear that one of the biggest challenges and opportunities for New York is developing a skilled workforce. The recently passed state budget includes many initiatives proposed as a part of Governor Hochul's economic development agenda. Underpinning that agenda is the reimagination of workforce development in New York and mobilizing state agencies to work collectively on these initiatives that achieve that critical transformation. That's why, under Governor Hochul's leadership, we are launching a new Office of Workforce and Economic Development. The new office will be housed at ESD, building off of our history, association, and standing with the greater business community. It will focus on identifying employer workforce needs. We will work with companies and industries to determine in-demand skills and then train New Yorkers for jobs with those skills, ultimately leading to quality careers of the future. Despite being a statewide initiative, we recognize the strengths and needs of our regions are different. Industries and skill sets needed in the Hudson Valley may vary from those in North Country or the Finger Lakes or Long Island. That's why we'll engage regional stakeholders to help shape the strategies. Businesses, industry associations, workforce trainers, educational institutions, and wraparound service providers. The new office will coordinate its efforts through the Regional Economic Development Councils in partnership with the Department of Labor, SUNY CUNY, and other state agencies. Additionally, we recognize the need that these investments need to get out the door much quicker. Under the governor's plan, the state will help to determine workforce development funding on a real-time, ongoing basis. This will provide greater flexibility to address the dynamic and changing needs of business. Through this inclusive, regionally focused, employer-driven strategy, we can extend opportunities for new sustainable careers to more New Yorkers. And we can provide businesses with a talent pipeline that encourages growth and investment. The administration is taking a holistic approach to economic growth, one that expands beyond the confines of traditional economic development policy to address the issues at hand. Governor Hochul wants to make it easier for New Yorkers to move between education and career. By providing students with the ability and assistance to earn credits on their own time and in a cost-effective manner. As a part of the budget, New York is providing $150 million to expand the part-time tuition assistance program. Expanding TAP will ensure that more people can afford classes without upending their lives, especially parents and dislocated workers. This investment is estimated to provide life-changing opportunities to an additional 75,000 New York students annually. The governor also wants to leverage our world-class SUNY and CUNY schools, as well as our incredible private colleges and universities, to develop public-private funding partnerships and create new internship opportunities. Let's get more students engaged with companies while they're studying. Apprenticeships are also crucial to many industries, including high-growth fields like healthcare and advanced manufacturing. Right now, New York has more than 18,000 apprentices in 975 registered apprenticeship programs. To help expand access to these emerging fields, the governor wants to increase apprenticeship funding at CUNY and SUNY schools. Her plan targets traditionally underrepresented groups like women and people of color, and proposes to create pre-apprenticeship portal so New Yorkers can find the program and feel that is right for them. The underlying theme to all of this is opportunity, creating more opportunities for New Yorkers to participate in the 21st century economy, and creating more opportunities for businesses to grow in New York State with the workforce whose talent is second to none. These are just a few of Governor Hochul's key priorities in the state budget. Her bold and comprehensive agenda includes major new investments in expanding shovel-ready sites, growing small businesses that are vital to communities, addressing the backlog of MWB certifications and appeals, and rebuilding our infrastructure. Each of these efforts will help catalyze economic growth as we continue to rebuild a stronger, more equitable, and more resilient future. And I look forward to partnering with you on each of these items every step of the way. So we continue to live in unprecedented times. The governor has called this a new era for New York. The pandemic presented new and novel challenges, and the recovery affords us new opportunities for business, new opportunities for innovation, and new opportunities for a more inclusive, equitable, shared economy. Working together, I'm confident that we can overcome the challenges of today and build New York's economy back stronger and more resilient. ESD in New York State will continue to support the ideas and the innovations and the businesses looking to grow across the state. And we look forward to our continued partnership with you and our colleagues and friends in economic development. Please continue to engage Tom Scaglione and the team at ESD's Mid-Hudson Regional Office to learn more about how to get involved as these programs begin to launch. I'm excited about all the things that we can do together, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share this message with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Hope. That was great. I took some notes. I love reimagining. This is a time for us to think differently and to do different things. And love the Office of Workforce and Economic Development and building more talent pipelines, apprenticeship expansion, the TAP for part-time students. Something that I mentioned in our federal grant, we put in a new idea, which I call Careerships. You know, the old days, you got a summer internship, usually unpaid, but I know that some of our local colleges like Mercy, they have accredited internships that are also paid and are year-round. And I like to think of them as careerships. And I think that's something that we should have more of, because we have a lot of students who really don't know what they want to do, but they're willing to try different things. And if we have employers who are willing to give them some work experience, I think that will help us build more talent pipelines. So while our panelists come up to the stage, please watch this video that highlights an innovative approach to hiring.
Because I didn't have that experience, or because I wasn't a male, or because I, didn't have the education, or there was some different factors that they just looked at me and was like, no. And they didn't give me that chance, and I get it, but all I needed was a chance. So I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and I just kept getting no. So it was hard.
Hi, Shauna. This is Melissa calling from Grayston Bakery. Please be here at 9:30 with 2 forms of ID. Congratulations. Welcome to Grayston.
We focus on the future. We don't focus on the past.
How do we give people hope?
It's just been up, They told me yes when everyone else said no. And it means everything.
Just a whole host of folks, about 10 million actually across this country, who have some type of employment barrier.
Starting my lifestyle over from the negative to the positive.
We have this amazing open hiring model that I can tell you is quite revolutionary. This idea of just having someone put their name on a list.
Grayston means everything. I'm stable. There's no question mark for tomorrow. I know that I have a job. I know that my bills are going to be paid. I know that my children are fed.
It's a family because we're looking out for each other.
They want to be part of this team.
I felt like I had new life. I was able to provide for my family.
That's a beautiful video. Thank you, Grayston, for putting that together and sharing that with us. Now it's time to welcome our wonderful panel. Tim Hall, President of Mercy College, Dr. Penny Jennings, Vice President of Grayston, Teresita Wiesel, Vice President at Westchester Community College, and Christopher White, Acting Deputy Commissioner at New York State Department of Labor. Welcome. I want to frame the discussion with a comment and quote. Some organizations see talent as an expense, while others see it as an asset. The author and business consultant Jim Collins has said, Those who build great companies understand that the ultimate throttle on growth for any great company is not markets or technology or competition or products. It is one thing above all others, the ability to get and keep enough of the right people. So let's talk about how we can get the right people into the jobs and help alleviate our talent shortage. And I'm going to start with President Hall, Tim. So Mercy College does a lot, and I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about what Mercy College is doing to help employers meet their talent needs.
Sure, Jason. Nice to see you all this morning. One of the things that we're doing and probably leads the challenges that we have is this. When you think of workforce development, you probably don't think of a college. You probably think of some other organization, but you don't think of a college. But we are in the business of workforce development. We have one of the strongest presence in that area of virtually any set of institutions, but we don't understand ourselves that way. So for example, when you ask what our students are looking for, you might think that some of them are looking for a coming-of-age experience. I can tell you at Mercy College, that's not the case. That most of our students are looking for a degree and a job. That's it, simply. They're not some strange kind of person who's looking for a special sort of experience. They're looking for a degree. That is, they want to graduate. They don't want to accumulate a lot of debt and then come away without even a degree. And then they want that degree to lead them into a job. So what we're doing first and foremost is we are defining success for our students. And we believe that success for our students is our success. If they do not succeed, we don't succeed. And more recently, we're defining their success to include finding a good job and landing in a good career. So one of the things we're doing most recently is this. I used to go crazy every time I heard Bill Mooney say the number of open jobs in Westchester, right? Jason, he says this all the time. And I listen to it every time, and I thought, why is that? What kind of operations are we running that there are so many jobs that are not being filled? I'm in the business of producing people with learning and education to do jobs. There are businesses who are in the business of doing those jobs. Why is it that we're not being able to connect? And the first reason is this, and I'll end with this. The main reason is we're not talking to each other. We do our thing over in universities by ourselves. It's basically take it or leave it education. That is, we design it, we establish what we're going to teach our students, but we never ask employers what exactly it is that they're looking for when we get them a student who's got that kind of education. What kind of outrageous situation is that in the 21st century is that the two groups of people most involved in workforce development are not even talking to one another. So we're committed at Mercy to talking with people. I heard so often from Bill Mooney that just recently I've started talking with White Plains Hospital and our CEO from there. I've talked with Burke Rehabilitation because the key to solving this gap in talent is simply to start understanding what it is so that I know what our students need to have to do the jobs that you need done.
Thank you. Yes, and I think Hope Knight also mentioned employer-driven, and we think the same way. We have to understand what their needs are and try and find ways to meet those needs. And in terms of jobs, there's a monthly report that the Feds put out, and there are over 11 million open jobs across the country, only 5 million people actively looking for jobs. So if you have a college, if you have a son or daughter in college, it's a great time to be graduating from college with this job market, or anyone else is looking for a job. Okay, Dr. Jennings, Penny, we just saw a little bit about open hiring. So could you tell us a little bit more about open hiring and the other workforce development programs at Grayston and how they are helping employers meet their talent needs?
Absolutely. Open hiring is a concept of acquiring talent without resume, without background check, and without interview. An individual need only come and put their name on a list or virtually put their name on a list to indicate that they are interested in getting a job. Our motto at Grayston Bakery is we do not we do not hire people to bake brownies. We bake brownies to hire people. Now, with that being said, what we do, we employ approximately 100 bakers. These are jobs that do not need a really high level of skill. So people can come in. If your name is next on the list, there's an open opportunity, you're called. We have an orientation. Usually we try to bring 10 people in at orientation, and they're trained. They have a 2-day orientation period where they get all of their onboarding information. Then they enter into, on day 3 through 6 months, they're in an apprenticeship program. They are fully paid from the day they walk in the door. As you saw, Shauna, she received the call. She came in, she was on payroll that day. We do know that we have a finite number of positions, so our goal is not to keep people there forever. Some people do stay. We have people that have been bakers for many years. Others have promoted internally. We also have a workforce development training department where we offer vocational training programs for the general public as well as for our bakers. We do not despise them wanting to move out of the bakery, because we know that some of them only come to Grayston because of the opportunity, the open hiring opportunity. With that being said, in our Grayston Employment Opportunity Center, we take a 4-prong approach. We do have the replication model where we assist other businesses and companies to replicate that open hiring model. We support that process in giving them guidance on how to incorporate the open hire list, how to onboard the employees, what trainings they need. So that's within our replication. As I said, we have the workforce development and education where we provide vocational trainings, knowing that individuals that come in our doors are usually people with barriers to employment. We understand that they will definitely need wraparound support services. So we also have a support services unit that is staffed with MSWs that are well equipped to assist people with their needs. So for instance, Shauna might have had trouble finding childcare for her children. We would be able to support that effort through our support services division. And our last prong of the 4-prong approach is the transitional employment services. If you are in the city of Yonkers, you may see people with the vests on and it says Grayston, and they are cleaning the streets and providing services to their community. Most of the Grayston apprentice programs sit in that area of transitional services. Why? Because most of those individuals were formerly incarcerated or perhaps veterans that can't find work. So they come in and work as Grayston Rangers, we call it, cleaning the streets, contributing to their community. And, once they, it is the dignity of work. Once they finish that apprenticeship program, which is about 8 to 12 weeks, they too are able to go into the workforce development division and get job placement or a vocational training if they choose. So our contribution right now is helping other companies replicate the model at no cost. If you're not able to pay a cost, we do have grants. We are very fortunate that we do have funding to support the replication work that we're doing. We partner with a lot of companies locally. Therefore, when someone goes through our trainings, I'll give you an example. If people take our security officer training, we can place them in a job. We have construction site safety training programs that include OSHA, scaffolding, flagging, and such. When they finish that training, usually the entire class is placed because we have companies that have already signed on to replicate that open hiring model. So it's really, a synchronized system that we can work with, and we can assist others in doing so and partner with other businesses.
Thank you, Penny. What you described is why I love my job, because we get to help individuals, we get to help families, communities, employers, and we help boost economic development.
Indeed.
Okay. Terry, thank you for stepping in for Dr. Belinda Miles, who couldn't be here with us today. I really appreciate that. Could you tell us about some of the great things that WCC is doing to help employers?
Sure. Thank you, Jason. Good morning, everyone. I feel a little bit like Broadway has opened and you're in your seats and you open your program and it says, playing the part of Carmen is Jane Smith. So thank you, and Dr. Miles sends her regrets. The good news is our bench is deep at Westchester Community College with regard to our focus on workforce development and supporting individuals as they seek to advance themselves and their families and really get to a place where they are, as Penny was saying, in a job, a better job, a career with dignity that sustains themselves and their families. Westchester Community College is really a comprehensive higher ed institution, and often folks don't think of us in that way. But we have, pre-pandemic, over 20,000 students enrolled at the college in any number of areas, and we're building back, as I'm sure all of our peer institutions in the county are doing so, really in anticipation of a fall 2022 that is vibrant and in person and allows us to do the work that we so love to do. Our students are seeking certificates or degrees because, as President Hall said, they want to get to work. Yes, they love learning. Yes, there's a passion for what they study. But at the end of the day, they want a career and they want to give back to this region and to the county of Westchester. The majority of our students stay in place after earning their degrees. And so what an investment for us to make in the livelihood of those individuals and in the economic vibrancy of the county of Westchester. We are creating workforce development opportunities in partnership. We cannot do it alone. And so the work that we do involves employers from the very beginning. How can employers help us drive our curriculum, redesign our programs, serve on our advisory boards in a way that results in meaningful engagement for us, for our students, and for the employers? The partnerships with employers at Westchester Community College that are the most successful are those partnerships that have employer participation from the concept stage. They get to understand our programs, they get to meet our students and understand the value of engaging with them post-training, whether it's externships, careerships, or actual work placement. A lot of the wraparound services that we provide are provided, again, in partnership with other entities. And I want to also make the important point, and we can talk about it a little more as we continue, about the importance of private foundations, philanthropy at the table, supporting the work that we do and supporting the success of our students.
Couldn't agree more. Deputy Commissioner Chris, New York State Department of Labor has lots of programs, services, and resources. Would you like to share the ones that are having the biggest impact with employers trying to meet their talent needs?
Yeah, no, I would absolutely love to. So I think when people think about the New York State Department of Labor, you may have heard about this thing, unemployment insurance, for the past couple of years. I don't know. And that certainly rises to the top of mind. We have a team across the state of 1,000 people who are devoted to workforce development. So we have a whole arm that does unemployment insurance, labor law stuff, great. My team is the workforce development side. So spread across the state, we have, in partnership with local workforce boards, we have 95 career centers spread across the state. Our mission is help people connect to jobs, help businesses find workers. And as we all know, that equation is not aligned today, certainly wasn't in the past, much more out of line today. So how do we help assess workers, get them more aligned to training opportunities, to available jobs? And then on the business side as well, we have a team every day of 120 people who exclusively work with businesses. They make outbound calls to businesses. By the way, all of this is at no cost. We help them match to potential candidates. It's interesting. Before the pandemic, we had probably 500,000. So every year we help about 500,000 people. We have 500,000 million people or so in our talent bank that employers could judge against. Because so many people were on unemployment insurance and needed assistance, we now have a talent bank of like 5 or 6 million people. So that is the talent pool today that we can help businesses get to through our system. So we'll match skills. You come in and say, I need someone with these type of credentials who has this type of experience. We will actually go into our bank and match against that. And again, this is all for free. We do this every single day in all parts of the state. We also have access to people who, so say, you're hiring for a specific role. We'll reach out to someone maybe in the North Country or in Buffalo or in Long Island to say, look, like maybe you want to come to the Hudson Valley. Like we have really cool stuff here. So like, come on down. But those are the type of things I know a number of you in the room, your businesses take part in our regional job fairs that we do. So we do virtual job fairs. It's something we pivoted to during the pandemic. We've started, thank God, going back to some in-person ones as well. We will get there, but we've had really tremendous success. Every year we work with about 25 to 30,000 businesses. And that's something a lot of people don't know. In the room you might, but a lot of people don't know that because we have such a breadth of services. But I think playing both sides of the supply-demand equation, we can monitor in real time what's changing and then how to respond to make sure the system is actually as aligned as it can be.
A lot there. Penny, I know you told us about all of your programs. Do you have any plans for new programs? Is there anything else that's on the drawing board that you want to share?
Absolutely. I think Terry said best that, we like to work with employers knowing that we can only be as good. We can only, we're successful if we provide training programs that the employers need. So we're seeing now, we do have a culinary arts program right now, Introduction to Culinary Arts, but we are working with some local businesses that are really interested in getting front of the house services where not only the intro to culinary arts, but they want really a robust program about how to staff, how their service should respond and all of those things. So we're working on things like that. We are also engaged with some of our construction companies because there's an overwhelming need, believe it. There's so much building going on right now in White Plains. So we've had a lot of builders ask us if we can develop more programs outside of the OSHA, outside of the site safety, outside of the scaffolding. They're looking for some more programs such as the actual construction, some carpentry things. So we're looking into that and trying to work with some of the local unions to have us support that effort.
Terry, it seems every time we talk, there's something new at WCC. I know you have something new in Yonkers and something that you're growing in White Plains, the White Plains Education and Training Center. Could you tell us about those two?
Yeah, of course. So Jason's referring to expansion of location. Many of you may know that our main campus is in Valhalla, which is the geographic center of this county, not always the most easily accessible place on the county if you don't own a private automobile. We have for many years had extension locations, Peekskill, Ossining, Yonkers, and Mount Vernon, and we're still very committed to serving those large communities. Right before the pandemic, we, in partnership with the city of White Plains, took over the administration of the White Plains Education and Training Center. We're so proud of that location, which is on the first floor of what used to be the Winbrook housing units. They're now called, somebody from White Plains, help me, Brooke, it's gonna come to me. Anyway, right across from the courthouse. I'm so sorry for not knowing. And the first floor of the first beautifully renovated building is the White Plains Education and Training Center. So we are there offering short-term training that leads to industry-recognized credentials, doing a lot of work in IT, in healthcare, and soon in advanced manufacturing. In addition to that, in September, we will open brand new expanded space at the Cross County Shopping Center, where we have had for many years an extension center. The newly renovated space in what was the former Sears building will triple our size and our footprint there, and really aligning with the help of the City of White Plains and the County's Office of Economic Development to what the new industries and new businesses coming into the southern part of the county will be. So Lionsgate, MGM, interest in the film and sound engineering and those kinds of courses. And so we'll welcome all of you to an opening in September. From a programmatic perspective, Jason, I don't think anyone in this room will know that we are one of 3 community colleges across the country that have a federally designated Center for Excellence in Cybersecurity, an area of importance to this county and to all of the industry sectors in the county. And also new certificates in healthcare, starting with community health worker and then going right through the pathway of healthcare careers through nursing, with which we have a partnership with Mercy, and respiratory therapy and rad tech. So those are a few.
And thank you to WCC and Westchester County for partnering with us on the healthcare job fair that we're having at your White Plains Education and Training Center on Friday afternoon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Chris, so you told us about a lot of things at New York State Department of Labor. Is there anything new that's in the works, or is there anything in the most recently passed budget that's going to help Department of Labor help more employers?
No, absolutely. So we've been, the Commissioner Knight earlier mentioned the new office that's being stood up at Empire State Development. We're very excited about that. We've been working on it even before it was conceptualized in the state of the state. So we're really excited about kind of that partnership opportunity there. Never before has the Department of Labor and Empire State Development been as close as they are now, which we're really pumped about. And quite honestly, I mean, like, think about state government. It shouldn't be, you should know, like, the person to go to, the office to go to, the department to, that's irrelevant these days. We really want to make it a one front door as much as humanly possible. So you come to government saying, this is what I need, and then we can actually try to help you out, you know, and help navigate for you. That's really the ultimate goal with this. So we're working a lot with them. One of the other big things that's going to be announced very soon, I'll make a little bit of news, but it is, we are doing another business survey very soon. I know it sounds so boring, a business survey. No, so yay, answer questions. So last year, we worked with the New York State Business Council to do a statewide business survey, heard from 2,000 businesses. It, to put it lightly, fundamentally changed a number of the things that we do with Department of Labor, believe it or not. We followed it up with a job seeker survey. We had 4,000 job seekers respond. And the whole goal is like, what do businesses need? What do job seekers want? And like, God, let's put them together, imagine, right? But we did that, and we're doing that. And this year we did it again, and we're doing it again. So we had 8,000 job seekers respond to our survey that we closed at the end of March. And the business survey in new is gonna, we've reconfigured it a little bit more to make it a bit more user-friendly, so hoping for more responses. But okay, great, so we have lots of data. The federal government, we track a lot of federal data, survey data. It's really important, really helpful, but it doesn't reflect the nimble needs of businesses today. So I said, I want to know, what do businesses need? So job candidates come in the door, what in the world are they lacking? Job seekers, what do you want from businesses? Like, what are the things on the table that you actually want? We have the data now. I mean, so I'm more than happy to share links to like last year's stuff and as it comes out. But fundamentally, job seekers want more than higher salary. They want flexibility. They want work-life balance. And look, I know in some businesses that's more unrealistic, but I think to present job seekers with those kind of opportunities, we can give you the words that job seekers want you to say to them to attract you to those postings. That's something that we can provide at Department of Labor. On the business side, it's the same thing. We are telling job seekers, if you want a business to hire you, you can take these courses, digital literacy, a lot of the professional skills, we call them soft skills sometimes, but basic communication, time management, those type of things. We know those skills are lacking because businesses have told us that, and we know where to point job seekers because we have listened to them.
Great. Tim, so I know that you're always doing new things, and you recently hired somebody, and you have somebody dedicated to workforce development. If you could tell us a little bit about that and anything else new or in the works at Mercy.
Yeah, sure. We are in a future-oriented business, so if we're not developing something new, we're falling behind. But we have, since November, established a new division we call a Division of Workforce Development and Community Engagement. One of the way we think about what we hope from that division is we tell them what we think they should be helping the college generate in terms of revenue. So we have a $150 million budget each year, and I've told the director of our new workforce development program that within 5 years, Mercy hopes that he will be producing about a quarter of all of our revenue. That revenue is going to be in the area of shorter term credentials rather than longer degree-oriented programs. That's what the rest of the college is doing. So he's already off. We've started offering new shorter term credentials this spring, and expect to grow rapidly, because we know there are people who need to refocus what they're doing. What they've been doing so far is not suiting them, or it's not being helpful for them in the workplace, so they need new training and new opportunities we expect to provide them. We have people who earned their earliest degrees with us. We believe the future is going to continually be that degree is not going to be good enough for a whole lifetime, that if they're not continually learning and retooling, they're probably falling behind. So we send messages to them every month because they're our alumni and we want them to keep informed. Now one of those messages is going to be come back and get some new training to do what it is that you want to do with your life. I'll mention one other new thing, and that is, many of you know that in 2019, the College of New Rochelle had to close its doors. We worked out a relationship to take over most of its students and make sure that they graduated. That's all gone according to plan. We're down to about, I think, 65 former CNR students who still needs to graduate, and we're working with them to do what they have to do to get that degree. But one other thing that happened at the same time is we took over some programs that we didn't have, and so we had to go get permission from the state to offer them. One of those that I didn't understand would be so important is an accelerated nursing program, or sometimes called a second degree nursing program. So if you already have a bachelor's degree and that's not working out for you, and you're thinking about some new degree that would help equip you for the life that you want. I, for example, got a degree in philosophy. I can easily imagine realizing in a couple of years, if I hadn't gone to a law school, that I probably needed some other thing to prepare me for the workplace. So it's for those kinds of people who discover that maybe psychology is not what they want, or et cetera. So now you can get a degree from Mercy in nursing. It's essentially a bachelor's in nursing, and you can get it for 18 months if you've got the right prerequisites. You may have to take a few science courses if you haven't had those, but in 18 months you can get all the coursework and all the clinical experience you need to be a nurse. And that is a hugely popular, you just wouldn't believe how popular a course that is. That to me is a very good sign for America, that there are plenty of people out there who are prepared to say, I need to try something new. I need to do something new. I need not simply assume that what I did 20 years ago is going to be good enough for the next 40 years. So we have lots of students. It's become one of our largest programs, and a very exciting program, because these folks have already got a bachelor's degree, so they know what higher education is about. I'm very excited also because of the diversity of our campus. You may not know this, but Mercy is New York's largest private nonprofit institution of higher learning. So 70% of our students are students of color. And so I'm excited about the opportunities that we're able to offer for students who've frequently not been well served, who frequently the first person in their family to go to college. That's going to be our future, is to serve the hope and future of America.
That reminds me, in some conversations with you and Terry and others, that I believe in Westchester, the colleges, about 40% of the students are foreign-born or first generation. And I always try and emphasize in our grant proposals that there's tremendous diversity in Westchester that we have to spotlight, we have to emphasize as a strength. So let's talk a little bit more about diversity. And I know that Mercy is a designated federal institution serving Hispanic community.
Yes, and in fact, in 2015, when the White House Hispanic Office was celebrating its 25th year of operation, they had a kind of competition among institutions and programs around the country, and Mercy was recognized as a bright spot for Hispanic education.
Excellent. We have a few more questions, then we're going to open it up to the audience. If you have a few questions, so think about those, write them down, and we still will finish on time, so we're starting to wind down, and this is great. Terry, tell us a little bit about the diversity at Westchester Community College. I know you have programs and you have offices that are specifically focused on veterans, people with disabilities, immigrants.
Yeah. So Westchester Community College is also a federally designated Hispanic serving institution, as is Mercy, and a minority serving institution. Our population is 40% Hispanic, 21% Black or African American, self-identified, and of course we serve the county in which we reside. So we serve all of the county. Our county is 25% foreign-born, 33% speaking a language other than English at home, and the college is committed to providing access to all of our populations, veterans, foreign-born, non-native speakers of English, people of color, people who learn differently, and we're lucky to partner with Access VR, which is another partner of the Westchester County Association. And all of those folks have varying hurdles to overcome, none of them insurmountable. If we can keep our eye on them and on what they need in addition to their academic training. I see Tom Kleiner, and I can't help but recognize that the Westchester Workforce Development Board is so much a partner of everything we do and very often provides that access, and for us expands our capacity to do that case management that's so important for individuals' success.
And you mentioned Access VR, that's a New York State Department of Education program. It serves people with disabilities, but it also provides services and resources to employers who want to hire people with disabilities. So
Absolutely.
And I think they serve 8,000 individuals with disabilities each year. So it's a tremendous partner.
And I failed to mention what strength we have in our community-based organizations and our faith-based organizations in Westchester County. And so they become critical partners, not just for outreach, but then for that support that our students need to be successful.
Okay, Chris, you get my longest question.
Okay.
I recently read a report citing there are 750,000 veterans, 2.2 million people with disabilities, 140,000 formerly incarcerated, 4.5 million foreign-born, and 240,000 underemployed who live in New York State. DOL serves them all, and we know that there's a lot that you're doing. Tell us about some of the success that the Department of Labor has had serving specific groups and working with employers to meet their talent needs.
Yeah. So we're funded 90% by the federal government. And one of the biggest pieces of the federal legislation is that we have to work with partners across the state, and we do. I think as a business, it has become so difficult these days to find people and hire people. We know that HR departments have been decimated, over the past couple decades. It is difficult to find people, and it takes more work today than ever before. We find the same thing when we're helping job seekers, find jobs. It is not that like one size fits all, silver bullet, like it never was, but it certainly is less so today. So what we do is case management for people. We have teams of people with expertise in serving, people with disability, people who are justice involved, veterans, people, youth. But we call them a special populations unit, but it is a team of people who are in Albany, we have a centralized office, and then in career centers across the state, we have experts in a number of these areas. They work with people to connect them to training, to resources, to jobs, and they work with, we again, on our business services team, we have experts who can talk to businesses about how do you make your workplace, more open to particular populations. It's interesting because we have had a big uptick. It's really started a little before the pandemic in businesses coming to us, and it was really the tight labor market. Businesses coming to us and saying, look, I need to explore, additional populations because the way I've been doing it before doesn't work for me. So we'll take them through their hiring process and say, oh, okay, well, like this minimum standard that you have right in front of you, like that's going to keep out this population. So like, let's not do that. And we'll sit there and we'll go through, because it really is like that detailed of an approach. Like the inadvertent barriers that are being put up in front of so many of these populations. And I say inadvertent because I don't think anybody in here intentionally wants to keep people out of their pipeline, but we have experts who can go in and actually help you identify what those are. And I think that's one of the most important things we can do today, because the world has changed so drastically and people read into things so much more. And there's a lot of studies and surveys behind that, and especially when we're so reliant on technology. I love technology, but it is really good at keeping people out of systems, and it definitely can't be so today. We also teach people on the job seeker side how to overcome those as well, in addition to working with businesses.
And maybe one of my shortest questions, Penny, how has diversity benefited Grayston, the populations you serve, and employers?
Well, it's benefited Grayston because we attract more funding from sponsors, of course, because we really do know, our deal is providing work opportunities for individuals with barriers to employment. That's directly tied to minority populations who have been underserved and disproportionately incarcerated and things of that nature, with fewer educational opportunities. So we do attract more funding that we can provide those certificate programs. So that's great. We also know that once someone is able to become trained and get an industry recognized credential, get a job, we are benefiting their family. So it's beneficial to the entire community. It's beneficial to the economic growth of the local population. So our diversity efforts are great. We also collect data from those individuals that we train through, that we employ through Open Hire, so that we are not only talking the talk and saying this model works, we also collect data not only from ourselves, but from our partners as well. One of our major partners being the Body Shop, where they are this year going to, they have rolled out this year open hiring at all of their distribution centers nationally. They've rolled out open hiring at every retail center nationally as well. They plan to hire between 3,000 to 5,000 people this year. Our pilot with them in 2018, they hired 1,200 at one distribution center, and they attracted a more diverse workforce, which is very important. As you say, demographics are changing throughout the United States, throughout Westchester as well, and we have to have representation in the workplace. If you only have one group in the workforce, then that means that you reduce your economics, you reduce the economy. We need to, workforce development is tied directly with economic development. So we are attracting a diverse population because of open hiring, and we are assisting other companies to engage in that same work.
So it's a win-win-win-win.
It's
Okay.
win. It's a quadruple win. Yes.
All right, so I have one more question for our wonderful panelists, and then we'll open up to the audience if they have any questions. We've talked about a lot. What have we not discussed that you think should be mentioned before we wrap up today, starting with Tim, then Terry, Chris, and Penny?
Well, I think something worth saying is that I've listened closely as a president to our students to try to understand what is it that they're really looking for? What is it that they really want? Especially for Mercy, a diverse institution, what is it that our students of color, our first generation students, what is it they really want? And I've got a surprising answer for you. They want to be included in success. That's the short and sweet answer. And so we've taken seriously understanding that it's less important that they be ready for college. You'll hear this said sometimes by higher education leaders about whether students are ready or not for college. We think it's far more important that we're focused on whether we're ready for the students who are coming to us. And when we talk about being ready, what we talk about is being ready to support their success. So all of our diverse students, They don't have any strange, idiosyncratic desires that they're trying to see fulfilled. They're trying to find inclusive success. That's what we believe in, and we especially now believe it in the area of workforce development. If success doesn't include them graduating and getting a job, then we're wasting our time. We're spending their money fruitlessly, and so we measure ourselves by how successful they're being. And let me tell you, when we support them, when we support the dreams they have, which are the very same dreams that you have and the same dreams you have for your children, when we support their success in achieving those dreams, they soar. They soar.
Terry.
So 2 words are Brookfield Commons. That's the name, and forgive me, my hometown for the last 25 years.
Sleep well tonight, Terry.
Thank you. And I can't lie, it didn't come. It didn't come from up here. But what I want to say is that we talk a lot about the gap and the disconnect, right? And what do our employers need, and what do our students graduate with, and we call it a skills gap. There's also an opportunity gap. And that's really what I think we're all talking about and why we're all here today. How can we completely remediate and annihilate that opportunity gap? And we can only do it through the work that you're leading, Jason, at the WCA, is really a collective effort and the collective impact that we can have as education institutions, as workforce development providers at the state level, county level, our CBOs, our philanthropic friends, everybody needs to do it together. So I think that's what we're all about.
Couldn't agree more. Chris.
I'll extrapolate on a idea that was raised earlier, but the whole concept of walking and chewing gum, I think, needs to be really underlined. That yes, we're driven so much by what we need today. Like, we have roles to fill, we have, budgets to make and all of that. If we're not as actively thinking about what's happening down the block in the middle school or elementary school, yes, the high school, but we have to get kids earlier, we are doing a disservice to the next generation, because so much I hear today, it's interesting. You think about like all the things we've gone through in the past 2 years, number of businesses, labor unions, workforce, professionals who are like, oh, we have great relationships. Okay, great. Like, was that 5 years ago or 10 years ago or like when? Like, right? The turnover in so many of our organizations, I think we really need to take a step back and revisit every relationship that we have or have had and make sure it is solid and reform and regrow those relationships, but especially when it comes to getting to young people at an early age, to informing them of the real opportunities available today and tomorrow in their neighborhood is just vital, or else we're going to lose more people.
I want to also agree, we do need to start younger, absolutely. Nonetheless, we have a whole population of people that are here today that need to feed their families tonight. And I think that if your organization, if you hire people, absolutely, maybe every job, I'm sure the college cannot hire a vice president through open hiring. The economic development cannot hire someone to become the CEO through open hiring. However, you do have departments and positions that do not require any specific skill set, that you can just offer the opportunity. Even if you give one opportunity, we do not despise small beginnings. Give one opportunity, and it's giving someone the dignity of work. It's also going to let you see that you do not have to adhere to the myths. Many people hear open hiring and they hear what it is. They think, well, oh, I'm going to get everyone that's been formerly incarcerated. Not the case. Most people that have been formerly incarcerated, if they're looking for a job, they want to change their lives, they're going to do a good job. If not, they wouldn't even come for the opportunity. Open hiring is not a promise. It is an opportunity. It is not an entitlement program. It's an opportunity. If someone comes and they don't work out, sometimes we have to part ways. But please, consider giving the opportunity. Not to keep them forever, give them the opportunity to get the dignity of work, to contribute to the local economy, and even to move on to a greater opportunity so that their families and children can see that they made a difference. Thanks.
Any questions from the audience? Raise your hand if you have a question. Yes, Bridget.
I have a comment, not a question. So advanced manufacturing is a priority sector for Westchester County, and I just want to thank Terry and Westchester Community College. I'll start over. Advanced manufacturing is a priority sector for Westchester County. And I just want to thank Westchester Community College, Terry and her team for recently launching a brand new certificate program in advanced manufacturing. It came out of a task force that we formed of employers in advanced manufacturing, and the classes just started last week with our first small but mighty class. So I just want to show you that kind of public-private partnership can really work to help. You know, this is a small beginning, but I think it's really exactly what this event is focused on, and you know, it's just been really great. So thank you so much, Terry, for your hard work on that.
Thank you for your leadership. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so I want to thank our panelists. Tremendous job. Thank you very much. And I'd like to invite Michael up for closing remarks. You want to step down? Sure. Or stay? You can do either.
I'll be pretty brief. Anybody out there not had Grayston brownie ever? I didn't think so. So Penny, look, the brownies may be an excuse for the hiring,
Yes.
but these are some good freaking brownies.
Very good.
I'm very excited when I get that tin box around the holidays, and I've never been so happy to eat something gluten-free in my life. So tremendous. So just a couple of quick liner notes. Again, a special thanks to all of our sponsors, the White Plains Hospital, 914 Inc., Burke Rehab, Mercy College, Tim, Wegmans, and The Catalyst. And thanks to all of you for attending today. Just a couple of quick upcoming events. On May 24th is our Real Estate Summit at the Westchester Country Club, and we're going to focus on statewide solutions to the housing crisis. June 15th is a summer networking party at Whitby, and then not yet announced in July, we're going to host the region's first ever Sustainable Business Conference. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. I have a background in that, so we're very excited about all of that. Thank you very much for attending this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Where are you based? You are in Albany.